What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sam from techwithsam, and welcome to the part 4 of this tutorial series on becoming a full stack mobile developer with Flutter and Serverpod. In today's series, we'll be going through CRUD operation for our fintech to-do app. In case you are watching this video and you're yet to watch the other videos, this is a tutorial series where I deal with the intro to Serverpod, I deal with installation and setup, and also Serverpod authentication. So this is the part 4 of the series. So for you to be up to speed, kindly watch all the other videos. The link will be in the description. So we'll be going through creating, reading, updating and deleting like trade alerts, and also validating logged in user. So we won't allow any user that does not have any account with us. So that's what we'll be doing today basically. So it will be a long video. Make sure you stick to the very end, pause and play where you're not getting it, and also just watch the video. If you're not getting anything, drop a comment. You can as well join the Discord server where I get to answer questions and also discuss as well. So you can support this channel. You can encourage me by subscribing to this channel. You also make sure to like the video and also drop an honest comment. Let me know your review about Serverpod generally and this course, and what you also like to see in this channel and future updates basically. Thank you. So without further ado, let's get straight right into it. So first thing first, I will go to my VS Code where we already have the authentication. So I will just start the server. So to start the server, just open the Docker. So I'll just open the Docker. So I have the Docker up here already. So just give that a few seconds. So I will open my VS Code terminal. All right. So let me open my Docker one more time. Let me skip this. All right. So we have the Docker up running. So I will create like two terminal here. So one for server, one for Flutter. So let me clear my terminal, and then I will get to the server folder. So fintech to do. Let's go server. So anything that relates to server will be done here, and also for the second one. So I'll just now get to Cindy fintech to do, and let's call Flutter. All right, so we have the two terminal here, so I can easily navigate so as to run any command that relates to any of the two folders. So now the first thing first, as I said earlier, we are working with CRUD operation in this video, that is creating, reading, updating and deleting data in our project. So if you check through Serverpod documentation, if you check through their models and data, you see on how to create model in Serverpod. So you can read model file can be placed anywhere in the server library directory. So we'll create a new model called recipe.spy.yaml. So if you want to create a new model in Serverpod, it has to follow this. So we'll be doing the same thing now for our own personal project. So inside this server, so we are in the server folder. So fintech to do server folder, then open the lib folder. Once you open the lib folder, I'm inside the screen folder. Then I can create a new file. So I'll create 3 new files here for our CRUD operation. So mind you, these 3 files that we have here, they are just the boilerplate code that is auto-generated when we run Serverpod create this project. So these are just the boilerplate code. We can as well delete it, but now because of time, I'll just keep it. Mind you, probably I would update the code base later on. So make sure you check the repo to get the updated version. So tax spy, so spy.yaml. so we have it like this. So we are good to go. So tax.spy.yaml, and as mentioned in the documentation, first we have to, if you check the documentation again, we have the class. So the class is like the class name, then the field is just like creating a normal model, class model in that. So that's what it's also all about. So we'll name our own class tax. So class, and then tax like this. Then properties, or fields rather, sorry. So field, we have we are going to have like 5 fields. Basically, we want to have the title, we want to have the description, we want to have the amount, we want to have the due date, and also the ID. So that's what we'll just be using. So I'll just use ID. So ID should be integer. So integer like this. We have the title is string, obviously. We have the description is not optional. We have the amount as double. Also we have the due date, and we also, let's put the user ID as well. So user ID, I think that's pretty much it. So once we have this all this field that is needed for our model, so everything will be structured. So anytime we want to save a new tax, the tax field will follow this particular model. So as well, we want to create a table in our database. If we go through the documentation here, if you want to create a table, there's a table field working with this database. So you can see the table here. So it said any Serverpod model can be mapped to database through Serverpod project map ORM. To enable table storage, for simply add the table keyword to the model. So this is just the table keyword, so we'll be adding that as well, so we can map our database. So I'll just add table, then name it as tax, or tax like this. So, and we are good to go. So once we have that, the next thing is just to create to run Serverpod create migration so as to update this. So I'll just, in my terminal, remember that I already navigated to the server folder. So just run serverpod create migrations. So serverpod create migration. All right, so if you check the command here, all right, okay, sorry, it should be create migration, not plural. So that's where the error is. So create migration, give that, and our migration is done creating. So after that, now we create new 2 files for our tags inside this screen folder. So for the second one, it will be tax event dot tax event tax underscore event, sorry, the spy the YAML file. All right, so this is like the second model, but this one is just for the CRUD operation basically. So just follow suit. So write class, then tax event, sorry, then the fields, then basically we just have type, the type of a string. So the type basically can be, let me just put a type can be created, sorry, so type can be created, update, and delete. So those are the types of the field. It's just like when we want to update the data, so we can know the type of function that you want to call. Also we can call the tax as well. So tax, then the tax, so the tax associated with the event, and also the ID, so ID of the tax. So basically this is our model for the tax we are going to be creating. And the next thing now is to create the endpoint, but before that we can as well run this Serverpod create migration again. So I just press my arrow button to refer back to the function, to the command I ran earlier. So basically, so just give that, although there's no changes, so there's no need to create any migration. So the next thing now is just to create the new file, which is the tax endpoint. So I'll create a new file, I'll name it tax endpoint. Endpoint.dat. We are good to go. So now for the tax endpoint.dat, if you check through this generated file. If we check through this greeting dot underscore endpoint, you can see like this is like the endpoint for this greeting, the backend, the server code for the endpoint. So endpoint is a class from Serverpod itself, so it's used to like create all the function that you want on the server, so it can be used on the UI side, so on the Flutter side, yeah, basically. So that's what we'll be doing here. So for this endpoint now, we'll be creating the create, read, delete function. So once we have all the functions here, then on our Flutter project, we'll be able to use it basically. And you can as well check the documentation here, creating endpoint methods. So you can see here now that Serverpod themselves say I'm creating an endpoint, create a new file, blah blah blah. This is where you define your endpoint and its method. With Serverpod, you can choose any directory structure you want to use. You can use screen endpoint, blah, but basically what I'm trying to say is that we have the endpoint class from Serverpod and we'll be able to like easily use it. Yeah. So now follow suit, because this part is a little bit technical, so please stay with me and follow suit. So first of all, we have to import Serverpod. So let's just import Serverpod. So I'll just select Serverpod like this. So the next thing now is to like create our class, our tax endpoint class. So if you remember the documentation, we have our normal class, then we can give our class a name. So I'll just name it tax endpoint. So it will extend the endpoint class from Serverpod. Then we have this. So the next thing now is if you remember during the Serverpod authentication we did, we were able to like sign in user, register user and sign in. So now I want to, before a user can create a tax, we want to validate if the user is truly signing or not. So we won't have an anonymous user trying to create a tax and all sorts. So I'm going to create a field just to check login state as well. So I will just write right here, then get require login should be true. So if login is not true, then we would know that the user is not signing. So now the first thing is, the first endpoint we are going to be creating is the create endpoint. So let me just put this create. So now for the create endpoint is a feature function. So we'll be making use of feature, then the tax class, then create class, create tax. If you remember during the authentication, we make use of session. So session manager is the one that store the state of the user, the state of the whole project. So with it we can track what is going on and also check the state of this current application. So we'll be making use of section. So session, then the tax. I can just say tax here. I can just say request instead. So request, then we must mark this as asynchronous because it's a feature function. So the next thing now is for us to check the authentication of the user. So if the user is authenticated or not. So we can just create a variable final, just say aunt equal to await, just to check using the session to check if the user is authenticated or not. So with this authenticated, we will be able to know if the user is authenticated or not. So sorry, just remove this. Okay, so we are good to go. So this aunt will return either none or true. So we can now say if aunt is equal to none. This is just a check because normally our user is not supposed to get to the stage of creating a tax without even signing, but due to reverse engineering and hacking. So you have to do this validation in case our user gain access to the dashboard even without signing in. Then we'll be able to also run a check to see if the user is truly signed in or not. So we can just say throw exemption, even though we'll be creating all this exemption later, but let's just have it like this. Or for now, I'll just write print. So I'll just put print here. So print, you are not authenticated. So let's just put this one for now. So that's that for that. So the next thing now is just to also call the user ID, because we'll be using it as part of what we have here in our model, the user ID here. So the user ID is part of the section that we have called here. So after this, if for authentication check, we can now move to user ID. So yeah, you can call final user ID. Let's go to onto user ID like this. Then we can run validation. So let me just put validation here. So if request, remember the tags here, we name it request. So if request the title is empty, that is, if request the title is empty, if in case the user did not enter title, which is compulsory, which is required, then you should throw an exemption. Also, we'll check for the amount as well. If it is less than 0, you should throw an exemption. I think those are the two major things that we are checking for. So with that, we'll be able to validate user inputs both on the server and on the Flutter side as well. So I'll just run print here. So cannot be empty. I think that's that. All right. So now that's for title and for amount as well. Let me just be fast with this. So request is less than 0. Okay. So we have checked for both title and amount. So the next thing now is to create a tax. Since we are done with the validation, so we can now say tax. So it will now be tax, then the tax model that we have created earlier, then the user ID. Remember, we already create a variable here that carries the user ID from the user authentication. So the user ID, then the title that the user is going to be entering, the amount we don't have is complete, so I will just remove this. So sorry, this is auto generated by by GitHub Copilot. So we only have title, description. So description. So because we are here to run Serverpod generate, so it's here to generate the tags. So that's why this is still throwing an error here. So description, also due date is equal to request the due date. I think we have everything. We have everything set up already. So we have the user ID, we have the title, we have the amount, we have the description, we also have the due date. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. So after that, now we can now insert this particular data into the database. So we can now run we can create a variable. We can just say final, let's say inserted, should be equal to await let's say tax. So tax db dot insert row. So it should insert into the database the section that you have created, and also the tax that we just create. So the tax we are referencing here is this particular tax here. So that's the tax, and we are just going to return tax. Inserted rather, since that's where we used to insert. So if you check the function very well, this is a create tax function. So we are able to create tax, a new tax basically, with authentication validation. So we're able to validate if the user is authenticated or not, and also check the title and also the due date, the amount, if the user actually enter a valid input and not just an empty value or invalid input. So we are able to run some validation and also run some authentication validation before actually saving the tags into our models. Thank you. All right, so that's that for create tags. So the next is read. So you can still just leave all these errors that is showing. So we are going to resolve that soon. Let me reduce this. So the next is read. So we'll be walking through the read functionality as well. So we create read. So for read as well, so feature, we have the tags. Then since we are reading is a list of tags, so we have to use the list. So it's like tags list. So it will be list tags, then get tags. So it should just be the session space session like this. I don't know why I'm misspelling all this figure. So we already have session like this. So again, we are going to, before we can fetch for any user, we are going to validate the user if the user is authenticated or not. So to do that, again, what we did in the create tag, so we're just going to create a final on is equal to await so session dot authenticated. So we are able to check the user if it is authenticated or not. So here as well, we're able to validate if it is none or not. Then we also get the user ID. Then the next thing now is just to find the tags. So basically we have the tags here. So instead of tags, we are going to be using the tags model tags. Then instead of find row, we can just use the find, so it can find throughout our database. So session, so this is the session for this particular user. So session where the user ID equals the user ID that is we are getting for that particular user ID. So that's where we are getting all the data from. Then we can use the order by as well. So order by, let me just update this. So order by as well will have order by the due date. So it will follow the due date that we are giving it. So let's leave it to ascending so we can just see how it works. Then let me just remove this. I'll see, because by default this find function also have order descending and ascending, so we can easily set it to true here. So I'll just come here, I'll say order descending. So instead of setting it to false, we can just set it to true. So you can have order descending here. So that's that for read. So pretty much we are just fetching all the lists from our DB. So how we are fetching the list is basically this is functionality to fetch from DB. So we just call the model tags.find. So we are finding, first of all, we're passing the session, then we are finding for that particular user only the user ID that's equal to this particular user ID. We are fetching the tags for it. Yeah. So that's that for read. The next thing now is update. So if the user wants to update the data and basically update the data. So let me collapse the crate. Then let's move to read. All right, so update. So update. So for updates, we are going to create the feature function as well, then the section and the tags. So let me do this. So we have this. So again, we are going to go through the authentication. So I'm using GitHub Copilot, that's why I'm getting all this suggestion, but I will try and explain everything in order not to make this video longer than it should. So I will just make use of my GitHub Copilot, then edit some of the suggestion where necessary, and as well explain where necessary. I hope we are all good with that. Yeah. So press my tab. So basically the authentication validation we are doing normally. So again, we are checking if the user is authenticated, and also we are getting the user ID here as well. So before checking for all this existing tags, blah blah blah, we'll be running through the ID. We'll be doing some validation to check if the ID list exists or is equal to none. If it's none, then we'll throw an error. We also check the title if the title is empty, because imagine if the user wants to update a particular tags that already have title, and the user now delete the title. The user backspace and delete the title, and the title field is empty. So we want to run all those validation before we actually update. So the title should not be empty, and the amount should not be less than 0 as well. So before this existing tags, now I'll just run some validation the same way we did during create tags. So first of all, I will check the ID if the ID is not known. So I'll just run request.id like this. So request.id, ID is necessary. Then the next is to check the title. So request.title is not empty. So if the request.title is empty, it should return title cannot be empty. And the last but not the least is amount. So if the amount is less than 0, it should also return an error. So once we are done, so this is basically validation. Then once you are done with that, we can now check through the existing tags. So for the existing tags now, what we are doing basically is we are checking through the DB. You can see find by ID. So we already have the ID already. The request ID. As you can see, since we already run a check to see if the ID exists or not. So once the ID exists, then we are using the ID to search through our database to find the particular tags. So once we're able to get the particular tags, then we can now check here. So instead of checking for this after we have already make request to the DB, I will just remove this. Then I will run some other validation to just before actually updating the tag. So let me see if existing is none. In case the existing is none or it does not exist, so we can. So if existing is equal to no, you can say for now print. We are still going to create all this exemption. So print something. Also, if existing user ID is not equal to user ID as well, we can say you do not have permission to update this tags. So assuming another user is trying to update another person's user ID. So if the user ID does not match, then we can return this particular error to the user as well. So once everything is if the user is able to pass through this check, then we are good to update the tags. So basically, to update the tags, we can make use of this. There's two formats. We have the copy with functionality we have in that to get all the data from a particular model, to fetch all the data, and then to update the necessary ones. So that's what we are doing here as well. So we'll call the existing tags variable that we have created here. So we'll call the copy with, then we update all the necessary data here. So we pass all the argument here to update it. Then the next thing is to just create this particular function. So we call the result. So result is just going to call this update row. So if you remember in our read, if we check the read for the read aspect, this is create. If we check for create, we have insert row. So that's insert row, that's for create. For read, we have find, and for update we are using basically update row. you can see the difference from what we are using to check our database basically. So update row, we update that particular task and we can return the data again. So that's that for update. So the next thing now is the last but not the least is delete. So since we are done with this, let me just collapse this. So the next thing is delete. So I can just say delete like this. So delete basically is to delete a task, as simple as ABC. So for delete, we need the session and also the task ID, the task the user want to delete. So I'll just run this, then this. Again, I'm using GitHub Copilot. That's why I'm getting all the suggestion, and as to make things easier, I'll just accept the suggestion as well and explain everything and change what is needed. So again, so we have the authentication to validate before you can delete any tags. We are validating if you are truly authenticated or you are logged out already. Then we are running through our authentication check. Then we are fetching the user ID. So the user ID, now we can now update all this. So all these check are not really necessary, but we can as well just check for the existing tags. So now for this existing tags function here, now that is finding by ID, we can just create another function here. So I will say let me create a new variable. So final, let me name it rows deleted should be equal to wait. So delete where. So instead of delete row, we'll use delete where. So instead of running all this check, now we can call a single function that can just fetch everywhere that all this check is valid. So we can now say tags.db delete where. So delete where, as it also sounds familiar, that's an English word. So delete where, so we are going to run all the validation, where the user can be deleted. So we already have the suggestion. So this is the session that we normally pass. So the where, so where ID is equal to text ID, that's the first, and where user ID is equal to user ID. So instead of doing all this if statement, we can easily do that inside this delete where. You can see how easy that is. So now I can easily delete this. We don't need this, so let me delete this. So we have the row deleted here. So this will run through all the validation check that is needed. So once this is true, then we'll be able to return it. So I can now run a check here now to check if the row deleted is empty. If it's not empty, then it will delete the tags, otherwise it's going to throw an exemption. So I can say if row deleted is empty, and just so if rows, okay, if row deleted dot is empty or is equal to 0, if it does not exist, then it should make use of this. Although this row deleted is actually a list, but because our tags, we are yet to get our tag, so it's currently throwing an error. So I think we are done with our endpoints now. So now we can run Serverpod function as to create all the necessary stuff. So now, since we are done with the endpoint, the only thing left is just to create all this missing exemption, so as to have a very good exemption when there's an error. So now in our server terminal, let me clear my terminal. So we are going to run Serverpod generate, so as to generate all this endpoint. So if you check the folder, you can see this generated. So this generated, we have the endpoint folder. So if you check through the endpoints folder, you can see automatically generated, do not modify. So I just want to explain something. So you can see the endpoint generated for this greeting. If you check the greetings endpoint, these are just the things, these are just the code inside the greeting endpoint. So if you check the endpoint, it generated the necessary stuff that is specified inside the greeting. So also, once we run the Serverpod generate, it will generate all the functionality that we are specifying inside is our task endpoint. So I'm going to do that. So just run Serverpod generate. So simple like that. All right, so there's a new version which is 2.92. I think I've updated it, my Serverpod, to 2.92. So basically I will just update everything to 2.92. So to do that, for me to make it easy, so I'll just search 2.91, then I will just change everything here to 2.92. So I'll change everything to 2.92. Mind you, we have to run that pub get so as to get the package. So let me just change that. So replace, then let me create a new, okay, let me just run this again just to be sure. So I'll create a new terminal. Let me clear this, cd fintech _to_do server. So I'll run that pub get so as to get the new dependency. Also for the client side as well, let me navigate to the client side, fintech _to_do client. So run that pub get. Alright, so you can clear this for the Flutter side as well. Let me just cd fintech _to_do Flutter. So we can now run our Flutter pub get. So we have all the dependency set up already. So now I can just go back easily to my Serverpod. Let me just run the Serverpod generate again so as to generate the endpoint. So Serverpod generate. So this will take a few seconds, so let's just check through it. Alright, so there's one issue basically. So the endpoint analyze keep due to invalid data syntax. Please review. Okay, so for the tags, so basically let me just select all and comment out this part so it can generate everything that we have already typed inside our model. So let me run the Serverpod generate one more time. Alright, so our generate is done. So now we can come back to our endpoint. Let's uncomment this. Then now we can import our tags from the protocol file. You can see the protocol file has been updated. So now I can import the protocol here. So you can see generated protocol. So once you import the protocol, everything has been fixed. So if you check through all this, so you can see the role is list, and we can get the suggestion that is saying instead of checking if it's equal to 0, we can just check if it is empty instead. So instead of this, I'll just change this to is empty. So is empty. So let's save this. So I think we are pretty much done with our CRUD operation here. So the next thing now, I will just is quickly adjust all this print here, then change it to a proper exemption. So let's just quickly do that. So we are going to create a new file. So let me just create a new file inside the screen. I'll call it exemptions.dat. So yeah, we are going to have like all the necessary exemption, and basically we only have I think 3 exemption: authorization, validation, and also not found. So let's just quickly do that. So to do that, first let me import the Serverpod package. So package Serverpod. So let me just click this, then we'll create an abstract class. So abstract class, so let me name it base app exemption. So it's going to extend sorry. So it's going to extend serializable exemption. So serializable exemption, then you can call the base up with message like this, although we are still going to change this. So we can now specify all the exemptions that we want to create. So now the first one is the authorization exemption. So basically create a new class, then we can say authorization exemption. Okay, so I'll just let me accept what ChatGPT is saying. I mean GitHub Copilot, sorry. So I will update this. So authorization exemption, we have the string. Sorry, let me just change this. Let me just update this to what I truly need. So we don't need override here. So let me just change this to string name. So the name should be authorization exemption. Then we can remove the override, and also we need to add the status code. It's just like fetching from the API directly. So we can say this should be error 403 if you know the status code. Yeah, so status 403. Yeah, so this should be 403. So 403, let's fix this. So this should be like this. So super message, so if it is empty, we can just give it a default message that is equal to unauthorized. Okay, and to make this happen, let's put this inside curly bracket like this. I think we are good to go. Yeah. Also for this side now, we have to update it so as to accept all this other information that we have here. So I'll just change this to the curly brackets that we also have here. So yeah, let's have something like this. So I think this is good. So we have the exemption, the base app exemption that have the default message and error code, and also the authorization. So this is the authorization exemption. So we can see unauthorized access, or we can give not authorized, or any message whatsoever. You can change this as you like. So the next one is validation. So let me just say validation. Let me see. Okay, so validation exemption. So we have the base. So we have the validation exemption. So validation failed, and okay, so this is correct. So error 400. Then the third one is what's it called? Not found exemption. So not found exemption as well as specify resources not found. So this should be 404. So this is error 404. I think we are good to go for this exemption. So now we can go back to our tax endpoint and change all the exemptions here instead of using the print keyword. So now first of all, come here instead of this print. So I'll change it to unauthorized. Authorization. If you check, the exemption is authorization exemption. So let me just copy this authorization exemption. So then come here, then let me just paste. First, before we do that, we have to use the throw keyword. So throw authorization exemption with a message. Before that, let me import the file. So exemption, then by default the authorization have a message, although we can customize it. So let me just customize it to something else. So I can say, I can say you are not authorized. So let's leave it at that. So the next is this validation. So let me quickly change that. I'll just run through this. So I will just accept all the suggestion from GitHub Copilot, so as to not waste time. Alright, so the next, I think we're done with this. So the next for this authorization, then we have this. Okay, so for update, you can as well did this, so okay, so for this, okay, for this as well, for this as well, for the amount for existing tax. Okay, so I hope you are getting it as I'm moving fast. So make sure you can pause the video multiple times to get the updates. So let me also change this. All right, let me save this. Okay, so this is the last but not the least. Alright, I think we are pretty much done with everything here. So we have changed all the prints now to a proper exemption, and we are not having any warning anymore. So I think everything is properly set up. So now let me just clear my terminal. Let me try and run Serverpod to generate one more time to say alright. So now we are pretty much done with from the server side. So everything is well set up, everything is running perfectly. I mean, all our code is perfectly done. So the only thing now is just to test on the Flutter side of things. But before that, let's try and even run our project and see how it is. So I'll open up Docker. So for us to start the server, we are going to just remember that I'm currently on this server folder. So to start the server, just docker compose up, then D. So remember, during the Serverpod authentication, I make use of this app, what's it called, Postico. So I will just open the app so I can go and see all my users. So this is the app Postico. Yes, so it's going to take a few seconds. Let's see. So let me connect to my server so you can see all the users I currently have. I currently have 4 users, even though I can't really remember the password, but I will try the Serverpod forget password so I can log into that particular account. So now, since we are done with this, then we can start the server and also run our project and see how it works. So to run the project now, we have to run it for a particular row. I mean, we have to apply migration because we already create a migration. If you remember earlier, we create a migration with this command Serverpod. We created a migration with Serverpod create migration. You remember earlier. So for that, we have to run the DAS project with this particular keyword. So to do that, so just type that run bin /main.dat, so double hyphen row, then maintenance, then apply, should be double P, okay, apply migrations. Notice that the migrations here is plural, so it's the S. So we can run this now. Alright, so we have this already, so I can just clear this, then I can start the server with that. So I can just say that bin /main.dat, so it starts the server and also written. So let me also run the app on the browser. So Flutter run, if indeed I'm just use Chrome. So this is going to take a few seconds. Again, in case you do not understand anything, make sure to drop a message, drop a comment. If you have watched this video, make sure to support this channel by subscribing, like the video as well, and also drop an honest comment. Let me hear a review about Serverpod and also this tutorial at large and every other thing. Yeah, thank you. So now our server is already up and running like this, and our Flutter project is still running. Okay, it's where they have it here. Okay, so this is our Flutter project, and that's the authentication part. So we'll just sign in one more time. All right, so sign in. So I already have an account, but I can't really remember the password I used then. So I will just let me see if I can guess the password, or let me just go through the forget password. So the account, let me use techwithsam@gmail.com. So I'll go through forget password. So techwithsam@gmail.com. So reset password. So it already sent the verification code. So this is the verification code here in my terminal. So I'll just copy it and then come here, paste, then password. Let me just say new password, then sign in. So we can see that we are signing. So everything is working perfectly, but we are yet to use the CRUD operation that we just created on the server side on our front end. Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing next. But first, make sure you get everything that we have mentioned here. If you don't understand any part of it, just drop a comment. If you don't fully get or grasp the reason why we are using any of this functionality, you can as well ask on the Discord server, and I will make sure to as well answer your question. So without wasting much of our time, let's just go straight to the Flutter project so we can design some UI and see what we have built over the time. So currently we have this main.dat where we have the sorry, let me minimize this terminal a little bit. So we have this main.dat where we have the main function, we have the my app as well, and we have the home page when the user sign in, and we have the sign up button. So now for this home page, now I will create a new file, so we won't have too long, because for the CRUD operation we are going to be doing a lot of things inside the dashboard basically, which is this my home page. So for the my home page, you can see the design currently when the user sign in. So we'll be changing that and updating it, so the user can create a tags, the user can update it and do bunch of other stuff here. So let's get straight into it. All right, so first create a new file. So I'll create a new file. You can just name it home screen or dashboard, whatever. Let me just name it home screen.dat. Alright, so we have our home screen. So first thing first, I will move this my home page, since that's what we are using for this particular page when a user sign in. So I will just move it to the dashboard, then we update it with all the necessary information. So let me just collapse this so I can easily copy it. Yeah. Alright, so home screen, then paste. Alright, so you can just import the material widget. So import material widget, the session manager, import main.dat as well. I think that's pretty much it. Then on main.dat we can now reference the file here. So my home page. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we will currently be working on this my home page. So to show up this, so I will just clear some open the editor. Alright, so we have my home page now. So first thing first, we want to create a button where the user can easily create a new task and as well update and also see the tags and do everything basically. CRUD operation basically. So we'll be needing the international package, this package intl, so for date format basically. So I'll be installing the package into the code, so make sure that you check as well. So this intel, so let me just copy it like this, go to the code. So this is a Flutter project. I'll go to the pub spec.yaml file, then under this dependency where we have the Serverpod, so I'll just use I'll just paste the intel folder. So remember to run Flutter pub get. So in my terminal, I'm currently on the Flutter project, so I will just run Flutter pub get. All right, so we are good to go with that. So I'll be starting with all the variables that are necessary here. So I've just created everything here. We'll be using them later on. So first thing first, for the date format, so I can just say final, let's say date format. Oh, it should be empty. All right, so we can now say date format. So the date format can just be let's say year, month, and day, basically something simple. So yeah, let's have something like this. Sorry. All right, so let's have something like this. Then remember to import the package that we just installed. So the next thing now is for the tags that we want to fetch from. So we'll be using list, then tags, basically. So this is it, list tags. Then for the loading indicator, can put ball is loading like this. Also for error message, let me use string error message, and also for status list now. So I will explain why we'll be needing the status list now later on in the video. So just add it basically. So it will be a callback basically. So let me just change to status list instead of session. All right, I think we are good to go. So now the next thing now is to first of all load the tags. So we are going to first of all load the tags. So we fetch all the tags from our endpoint so as to load it. So inside our init state here, we'll be calling a lot of updates. So let me collapse this. So let me leave this for now. So I'm going to delete it later. So all right, so to load the data from the endpoint now, so let's just create a new function. So feature void. Okay, so load tags. So load tags, basically this is just a test project, so we are just going to be using set state strictly. So we are setting the is loading to true, then error message to empty. Let me just set it to none, so we can easily check if it is none or not. Let me change it to a non-value, so it can be a non-value. So with this we can easily check if it is none or not. So instead of checking if it's empty or not. So all right, so the next thing now is to fetch the tags. So we call the client, if you remember the client that is on this main dot. That's so this is the client we are referencing. So this client that has been initialized already. So we call client. So instead of tags endpoint, it will just be tags. So tags, then get tags. So this get tags now is from the endpoint. So from the endpoints that we have created. So since we run Serverpod generated, it will fetch all the tags. You can see this get tags here. But if you check, if you overwrite it, you can see the reference that is referencing the client. Like if I want to go inside this particular function now, it's not going inside the tags endpoint. It's going to the generated one. So you can see the difference now. So that is why we are running this Serverpod generate. So let me close this. All right, so get tags. So this one will fetch all the tags. Then we are setting all the tags inside the tags variable that we created earlier, which is the tags variable tags. So once we fetch the tags here, then I can change the loading state to false. So let me change loading. Sorry, it's loading. I think that's the name. Is loading to false like this. All right, so loading. Then for our exemption, we can catch the exemption to say error message, and finally as well we can, okay, since we are even using the final, so there's no need to even do this. So can remove this from this place in case you are not aware. So we have the try and catch. So we try this function, then it will catch if there's any problem. Then we have the finally basically means if all the function is done, either try or catch, it will the final block, we run the final output. Either it was able to go through or it got cancelled. So this is the final. So the final is just to cancel the loading state regardless. So instead of setting is loading inside catch and also here, we can just set it inside final and it will catch for both. So we are done with loading. That's load initial. So we can now call this load tags inside the we can call it inside our init state. So once the user gets here, to load the tag straight up, so we can present it to the user. So there's some other data like the read time update to fetch the read time update, and also some other UI parts. So to do that now, we'll be using the dispose to dispose the stream listener, the status listener. So nothing will be exposed to the client, to third parties and all. So now for the dispose part, so I'll just call the dispose to the dispose function. All right, so let's start with override then dispose. So for this dispose now, instead of this session manager and all this, so I would use the status listener instead. So let's check if status listener is not equal to null, then we'll remove the status connection. So that's basically what we want to do. So say I think status listener is not equal to none. So once it's not equal to none, then we can call the client dot remove. So you can see this functionality, remove streaming connection status. So this remove streaming, so is to remove the connection status listener. So that's what we are using this guy for. So we just change it to status listener here, and we are good to go for this. So that's basically us disposing the listener. So there won't be leakage of data and all. So we are pretty much done with this. All right, so the next thing now is to initiate read time. So to fetch read time data from the user when we are deleting or updating. So to get all the updated, so I'll create a new function here now. So I'll be using stream for this. So like the stream connection. So feature void. All right, so let me just say init read time. Let me change this to time. Then we have to make this asynchronous. All right, so basically, as I said earlier, as we want to listen to the connection, the streaming connection of our database, and also the updates or the event that is happening inside our database. In case there's any changes, we want to reflect it immediately to the user and also present it to the user basically. So that's what we are doing here. So I'll be making use of the try. So try and crouch block. Try, let's say await, then the client dot open stream collection. So open stream collection, we are good with that. Then the tags dot stream. So we listen to the data. So you can say message for this. Okay. So when we get here now, we can now check if the message tab is tax event. You can easily use set state here now. So set state. Now here now we are checking for the created update delete. If you remember inside this tax spy the second one that we created, I'm just opening this tax event. So where we have this type, the created, updated, and delete, that's what we are listening to here now. So we'll be using the switch statement to check the type. Are you getting what I'm saying? So we'll be using the switch statement to get the type. So if it's created, so we'll be able to fetch. If it's updated, if it's deleted, so we'll be able to also perform all the necessary action. So let me close this catch here. So we are not using this for anything, so I'll just close it up like this. All right, so now inside the set state, now we can now use the switch function. So we can say if message the type. Okay, so let's have this. So you have the case is created, then if message no tags is not equal to none. All right, so if the message is not equal to none, then we can check the existence. So sorry, tags dot any. So these tags, now we are basically referencing the tags that we have up here. So this tag, so it's just tags, it does not have underscore, so you can just remove the tags underscore. So if tags.any, then the ID is equal to the message tags here. That's basically what we want to check. So since we did not set any of our tags to be none, so I can as well mark the tags as non-label just to check. But regardless, we can do this check, but the operand is telling us that the tags cannot be none, so there's no need for this check. But let's still go through it, then we'll see if we can remove it later. So if exist is equal to false, so if exist is not true, if exist is not true, then we can say tags.insert. so we are inserting new data. So the data basically is the tags itself, so it will insert inside the new index and message the tags. So I think that's pretty much it like that. So so I've removed the check now since the check cannot be none. So basically what we just want to do here is to check the exist. So if tags id is equal to tags id like this, and if it's equal to true, then we can insert this data for the created. So now we go through the updated as well. So after this we have update, so we can use the break keyword here. So break, then another case, oh sorry, it should be before this. So case updated. So for the updated, we are using the index where. So index where the item is just like how we create the endpoints earlier. Sorry, it should be double column. So now we can, there's no need to even check if the tags is none, because it cannot be none in the first place. But for security measure, let's just put it and see if tags is not equal to none. If not equal to none, then we can update it. So let's just say final I is equal to tags.index where. So we're using index where the ID, basically we just want to use the ID is equal to the message tags message.tags id as well. So and with that, if I is not -1, that if it's not a negative value, then we can update it. So let's go to -1. All right, so we have the -1. Then we can now say the index of tags. So tags I should be equal to, the updated version, the updated data should be equal to the tags. So that's pretty much it. So sorry, this is plural tags. So message or tags. So let me remove the check. So final, this is we just checking through the tags to see where we want to update basically. So the last but not the least, we have the delete. So case deleted. So if the data is deleted, what do I want to do? So this is just remove where. So we just use tags. Let's remove where id is equal to id. So basically that's what we're doing. So we use t for tags. You can see t.id is equal to message.id. all right, so that's pretty much it. Then we can just break it finally. So I think we are pretty much done with this. So basically what you are doing here, as I explained earlier, is we just watching the tags events we created earlier to check the type, the tags and the id, so as to fetch the updated version of the tag. So once the user updates the tags, it's reflected directly on the front end. Yeah, so that's the purpose of this streaming connection that we just did. So now inside the init state, now I'm going to as well call it. So let me just copy the function name, which is init. So I'll just paste it here, then we have it. So inside the init state as well, we can as well listen to the events for this particular status listener. So let me just copy this. So we can say status listener should be equal to since we are disposing it, so we have to create the status listeners first. So if mounted, then let's just say state. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So let me remove this space and close this. All right, so that's all. So to start the listener, and also for to start the streaming, if you remember inside the dispose, we are calling remove streaming, but we're yet to even add the streaming in the first place. So we are going to do that here as well. So let me just say client dot add streaming. Add streaming connection. So this is to add inside the dispose, is to remove. So once we get to the home page, it will add the listener, and once we are leaving, it will remove the listener. So that's pretty much it. So the status listener, so we are good to go. Okay, it's not the same name. Let me copy it from here. Okay, it's not labeled, so we have to mark it as none. All right, so that's pretty much it for our init state. So now we can start creating the UI to create the tags. All the necessary field, the title field, the description field, the due date, the amount, and also all the buttons. So I will create a function here for create tags. So you can see that this is getting messed up already, but let's just stick with that. I'll clean up the code base earlier, so you can just check the updated version on the repo. So let me create a new function for create tags. So for the create tags, remember that we need some data that is title, the description, the amount, and due date. Those are the 4 required data from the user. So let's just follow through that. So function for it, then you can say create tags. So basically we have title, description, amount, and due date. So we can just mark this as required. So you can say string, then title. The same thing for description, string description. For amount, remember that is double, so double, that's amount. Then we have date for due date, that's the time for due date. All right, so we have all the required argument here field that is necessary. So we have to mark this as asynchronous. Then we can now create the function. So once we have the UI, this is the function. If the user want to create a new task, so now we can say created should be await. Sorry. All right, so await the task, calling the task functionality from the client side. So if you remember the create task function that we created inside our task endpoint, so that's the function we are calling here now. And for the function, if you again go back to the task endpoint, for the create, you can see what is required here, which is the user ID, title, amount, description, and due date, and that's what will be giving it inside our home screen here. So create tags, you can see all the requirements. If you over it, okay, it's not showing, but we are going to call the tags class so as to get all the requirements. So we'll just call tags. So inside the tags now, that's where we'll pass all the necessary arguments. And if you over the tags, you can see everything that is required: title, description, amount, user ID, and what was the last one? Yeah, user ID and due date. So now for the title, since we already request for it, we just call title. Description should be description. Due date should be due date. Then we have the amount as well, should be amount. And the last but not the least, that's the user ID. So for the user ID now, since we have the session manager, we can just call the session manager dot signed in user. So it will fetch the signed in user, then we can just get the user ID, and that's pretty much it. So we have our created already. So now it's just to update the UI once we call this function, which is created. So we can now say we can make use of set state. So set state, let's just say the tags.any, then T for tags, if ID is equal to ID, so T dot ID is equal to created dot ID. So all right, that ID like this. So if it exists, if it does not exist, then we can create the tags. Otherwise, it's have to return an error. So insert. So this is just like doing a simple check to see if the tags already exist. If the tags does not exist, then we can insert it. Otherwise, it does not perform any action, or it can basically just what's it called, just update the tags. So now if you check, we didn't use try and catch, but there can be some failure. So I will just convert this to try and catch. So let me just copy this. I will cut it here, then use the try keyword. So this is the try keyword. I will paste it again. So I'll come here, just use the catch. Yeah, so all right, so now we can just, let me just print something first, then we can create a snack bar later for any reasonable area. So let me just say create field. with the log as well. All right, so that's pretty much it. So this for create. So we have for update as well. We have for delete as well. So the same way we did inside the tax endpoints, also we have here. So we are just calling the functionality. It's just like business logic and presentation. So this is all we have designed the business logic inside our tax endpoint. So here we are just calling the functionality and making use of it. So for this sprint, let me just create a snack bar function so we can use it throughout the other function I made for the updated for the update and delete. So let me just create a simple snack bar. So let me say show snack. So just message, nothing serious. So message. So you can use because of the context that we'll be making use of. So scaffold messenger. So scaffold messenger dot of context, then show snack bar. So for the show snack bar, then we'll just call this show snack bar widget. The snack bar widget. Then the content should be the message, so MSG, and that is pretty much it. Yeah, so instead of print here now, I can just copy this and replace replace with this. So I think that is better. All right, so we are done with create tags. Now we can move to update tags as well. So let's be fast with that. So I will just quickly do that very so we can use say state. So just put it simple. So just use the tax that index where. So index where. So just use T for tax. So t.id is equal to updated.id. So we can check if id is not negative, equal to -1. Then we can say tax not with the index of y should be equal to updated. So I think that's pretty much it. So inside our catch now, we can just show the snack bar. So show snack bar, then the message update failed with this assumption. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Then we can quickly move to the delete tags as well. So for the delete tags, quickly do that. So pretty much the same thing. You can say delete tags, then just do this first. Inside delete tags, we're asking for the tags data itself. So you can see all the requirements from this our function, what we are requesting for inside the function. So that's what we are requesting for here as well. So first off, we want to show a confirmation dialog to confirm the users truly want to delete the tags or not. So just confirm. So confirm should be await, then show dialog. So let's want to check. So if the user say what's it called, if the user truly confirm if to cancel the dialog, to delete the data or not. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. So builder, then let's just name this ctx and use alert dialog. So alert dialog. All right. So instead of alert dialog, we just show a simple message. So sorry. So the title, we have the let's just say delete tags basically. So delete tags. We have the content. That's the body content. So we can say delete. Then we get the title of that tag. So we can say delete. Then let's put sorry. So let's say delete tags.title. So we can say delete title. So to make it stand out, we can just put single quotes so it can stand out like that. Then for the action where we're going to show the two buttons, so let's just use text button to cancel and the other to truly delete. So for this, just say cancel. So this one should be cancel. And for the press of this, let's change navigator.pop. Navigator.pop. So we'll make use of, since we are using the Boolean keyword here to check if the user cancel. That's why we are setting this one to false. So it's a return false. This confirm now will return false if the user cancel. That's why we are setting the pop to false. And for the true as well, we'll set it to for the other one, if the user actually confirm delete, then we set it to true. So that's that. Alright, so now let's do for the delete. Let's use another button. Let's say elevated button. Let me just do this real quick. I'll just put delete here. So delete. Sorry. Alright, so here now we can now use the same format. Then we change this to true. And just change this to true. So let me save this. Let me put some commas so this code can be formatted very well. Alright. So okay, so we are done with the check. So now we can now check if the confirm is true or not before we run the delete functionality. So now we can now come here and say if confirm is not equal to true, then we can just cancel, return nothing. Otherwise we can try deleting the data that we have here. So alright, so try use state basically. So the state function, then tags removed. If you remember, remove where, so we are removing where id is equal to id. So t for tags, t.id is equal to tags.id as well. So it's remove where this match. Sorry. Alright, so once it remove where this match, then we can call the delete function as well. Sorry, let me come outside the init set state. Then I can call await and then client dot tags dot delete tags. Then we can now use the tags id here. As simple as that. So the tags id is not labeled, so we have to mark it as such. So pretty much right. So now inside the card you can show our snack bar and just say delete field, then show why. Then another thing we have to keep in mind is we have to load the this initial that we did earlier, since we have deleted the data, this load tags rather. So I'll just copy this and come here and just put it here, so it should reload the initial again so you can fetch the updated data. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So we have created the create, update and delete. So now we are here to still tackle the UI part. So for the UI part, it might be a little bit interesting depending on your interest. So myself, I'll just create one for me. So for myself, for this particular tutorial now, so you can just make use of that and also see how it works. So let me just easily do that. I want to see if I can just copy instead of writing everything to save time. All right, welcome back. So I was able to just copy a UI so as to save time. So I will just explain basically. So this is where we stop earlier, show snack bar. So now I have this open task form. So this is where I just have all the form for both update and create. So now I already have is edit. So if the task is done, so this is me just running a check to see if these I want to update or delete a task. Update or create a new task. Yeah, so we have the controller for the title, description, amount, the due date as well. So this for the due date, which is the time picker basically. So we are showing we are using a bottom sheet. So the bottom sheet, this is just a design to display the bottom sheet basically. So you can just go through this. So we have the design, so nothing out of the box. So we have the date picker for the due date. So once you have the date picker, then the button to cancel. So you can check now for the button to actually create or delete. You can see here that I have save or create. So save is update, create is creating a new task. So here now I'm getting all the title, all the value, the title, description, amount, and also amount in double. So if all of this is not none, if the user is not passing, that means is a new data. So we are running also a validation check here to see if it is none or is empty or thereabouts. Then we are throwing this, otherwise then we are creating a new task. So that is it basically. That's that for this open task. So we can see here now that we check if it is edit. If edit is true, it will update the task, otherwise it will create the task. So now let me collapse this so I can explain the others as well. So just follow through. Mind you, all this code will be on my GitHub repo at techwithsam, so you can as well just check it out to compare with yours to see in case you miss anything else. So this is like an empty widget. If a user is here to create any task, so it's going to show this. So this is just a simple UI, so you can as well design something for yourself. So for the list of for the design list, when a user creates a task, how it's going to display. So this is the UI. So we are using list view separated to show a divider. So we are using the list style. Basically we are showing the title, then inside the subtitle we have the column to show the description, the amount, the due date, and also an icon for to delete the task. So you can see that we are calling the delete functionality already here. So that's for build list as well. So now back to our main build method now. So we have the app bar. So let me just our app bar basically. Let me delete this. Okay, so the app bar with the functionality to refresh. So this refresh now to reload the task basically with this help of the status listener. So we have sign out as well. So this one we sign us out and return us back to home page. So for this I can just go back to sign up instead of this. So sign out. Once we are done signing out, then we can return back to the sign up button. All right, so that's fine. For the floating action, so the floating action is the one opening the task form where the user get to input the feed either to create or to update. So once the user updates, you can see that this is a floating action. This is automatically create. When the user wants to update inside the list, now if you check the build list, when the user click on a list, you can see on tap. So on tap, open tags, and we are passing the tags. You can see the difference. We are passing the tags. That means the tags is not none. So when the tags is not none, that means we want to edit. So that's what we are doing here. And when we want to create a new tag, we are just calling the open tags without passing any tags. So that is how we're able to like make use of this open tags for two functionality instead of repeating it. So that's that for floating action. Then inside the body, we have first displaying the user details, the user image URL, which is the initial, and also the user email. Basically, then error message if there's any error, and we're able to build the list. So the list, if the list is empty, it will show the empty design. If the list is there's an item, then it will show the item basically. So that's pretty much it. Then we have this model that follow the results. So you can see that you use the model somewhere up there. Let me just show you where we use it. So inside this our bottom sheet, we use the model. So instead of having to use a map, we already have it structured here. So we know that we are passing title, description, amount, and due date to the backend. For the feed verification. So basically that's pretty much it. So now we can just test our app and see how it looks like on the UI. In case you don't understand anything, this is a long video again. You have to pause and play multiple times to actually get it, and also you can refer to the documentation. I will drop the link inside the description below. Make sure you also subscribe to the channel, support this channel, join my Discord server as well. I have other community like Telegram and other platform. I write article on Medium, Ashnode, Dev2, Substack, and other blog websites. Make sure you check them out in the description below as well. Yeah, so now I can refresh my Flutter project. Let me just use R. So let me open it up. So let me cancel this. Alright, so you can see the UI now. So this is saying no trade yet, add one. So this is like the empty list. So if I click on this, you can see the title, the amount, the due date. You can see the date picker that is showing up. So now let me cancel this. So in case I want to create without actually having any feed, you can see the error here. Please fill all the feed correctly. Although we can use the default Flutter verification, but you can add that yourself. Yeah, so let me just create a new task here so you can see how it works. So let me say first, or let me say best BTC. Then let me say remember to buy 5 BTC like this. Let me just say amount. Let me say 200, 1200. Then let me say due date 26. Okay, then let's create. So you can see the list here now. If I click on it, you can see that I will see the details. Then I'll be able to update. But let me create 2 more. Let me say second USDT. This is my second task to check out USDT. The amount, let me just say 500. Due date, let me put it to 28. Okay, great. So we have the second. You can see that it is in descending order. So the first will come down, and the latest one will be at the top, and so on and so forth. So if I click on delete to show the dialog, you can see the dialog with the title, second USDT. If I cancel now, it will cancel. If I click on delete for first, you see the first BTC cancel. Let me create my third tax. Let me just say third third task. Let me say study the market. Let me say buy the dip. That's a popular slang of all these crypto guys. Yeah, let me say just like that. Let me pick 30, then okay, let me create. So we have all these 3 tasks here now. So now I can as well update. Let me just update this second task so you can see. Let me just write edit here so you can see the update. So let me see. So as you can see in the description, you can see the edit. So now what if I log out and I try logging in again? How will I say? You can see the refresh button here. You can see the logout. The Flutter debug banner is hiding it already. Let me go and remove that. So inside my Flutter, let me just come here and just remove that debug banner. Let me put that first. I have to refresh this, then let me open up this. So let me refresh. So let me log out and log in again. I even see if I will have all my data. We even stop the server and restart again to see if I have the server. I hope I still remember my password actually. So restart. Alright, so I can open. So let me try and sign in. I think I use techwithsam@gmail.com. What's my password? I think it should be new pass. Let me check it. New password. I'm trying to sign in. Okay, I get it correct. So you can see that I have all my data. So what if I stop the server and I start everything from scratch? Like for example, I stop working on this project for like 5 days. Will I still see my data? Yes, of course. So let me stop this. This is the Flutter server. This is the Docker server. So I'll just stop everything now, then start everything from scratch again. So you can see that the Docker. Okay, let me stop the Docker server so we can start everything from scratch again. So let me run Docker compose or to start the server. So this has started the server. So let me clear this, then run the file, which is that. We have that already. Then let me run my Flutter app as well. Alright, so we have the app running already, and our server as well up and running. So you can check it from here. If you check on the server, you can see that on Docker, you can see that you started. So let me open up the app now. Let me sign in. So my username, my email, techwithsam@gmail.com. Then my password. Let me sign in. Alright, so you can see that I still have all my data. So that's pretty much creating a synchronous CRUD operation in Serverpod. There's still more to this. You can refer to the Serverpod documentation for more information. If you have any question at all, don't hesitate to ask me. If you have any question at all, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section, and as well join the Discord server so I can have time to actually answer your question in detail. You can as well see all the updates on this repo, the fintech to do Serverpod repo. The link will be in the description. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe, share the video as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.